What's up, shit? Timmy's here. Here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. The films celebrating their 10th anniversary is the fourth James Bond movie, Spectre. Of course, this came out like this was obviously was followed up with by Skyfall that came out a few years prior. This was of course Daniel Craig's like fourth outing as Bond. The second should be directed by Sam Mendes. I really quite enjoyed Spectre. I thought it was like a really cool, entertaining one. Of course, you got Christoph Waltz who plays the villain here, Franz Aberhasser. Christoph Waltz, I thought played the villain perfectly in this one. You got Monica Bellucci, who actually became like one of the oldest Bond girls, and you know what? Monica doesn't age one bit. She still look great here. Ray Fiennes obviously was a good one. Sam Mendes, of course, won Best Original Song for this. It's a really decent, entertaining one, and Dave Bautista was also great. I really had a quite fun time with Spectre. All right, also turning 10 is the Peanuts. Now, of course, this was the Peanuts movie that came out back in 2015. You know, uh, from Blue Sky Studios. I really enjoyed the Peanuts movie. It sees Charlie Brown trying to improve his odds and with his love interest, the little red hair girl here, while Snoopy, writes a book where he is in World War One flying ace here, and I really had like, yeah, I really quite enjoyed that Peanuts movie a lot. It was really charming. I remember seeing it in theaters. I saw it like on the same day as Spectre. That was pretty much like the Barbenheimer of 2015, really. Before Barbenheimer was a thing. But yeah, the Peanuts movie was a really decent one, and it's such a shame too. We never really had another Peanuts movie since. Because the last Peanuts movie obviously was the act release. Lately, other Peanuts movie has mostly been going straight to Apple and whatever, which is unfortunate. But anyway, now other films turning 10 this week. We got Brooklyn, which stars Saoirse Ronan, as well as Amari Cohen, Domhnall Gleeson, Jet Broadbent, and it follows this young Irish woman, played by Saoirse Ronan, who immigrates to Brooklyn in early 1950s. And of course, she falls for like this Italian guy played by Amari Cohen. Of course, Saoirse Ronan got an Oscar nomination for this, well deserved there. It is a really decent, heartfelt film. Saoirse Ronan and Cohen both had good chemistries here. It's such a really decent one, a really decent like romantic film. Love the New York scenery out, like the 1950s New York scenery. It's a really decent one there. All right, also turning 10 is Trumbo. Uh, Now, of course, Trumbo stars Bryan Cranston as the role of Hollywood screenwriter Delta Trumbo. And it's based on his the biography Delta Trumbo, and of course Delta Trumbo worked on lots of iconic movies from the golden age. I think Bryan Cranston actually got an Oscar nomination for this. Probably one of his best performances in my opinion. That is not Walter White related. I mean, Bryan Cranston was terrific here. You got Diane Lane, Helen Mirren. You also had John Goodman, Elle Fanning. It's You had David James Elliott as John Wayne. You had some really cool cast members in this one. Love the 1950s Hollywood era and stuff. It's such a really decent one that's well worth a watch there. I mean, I'm always a sucker for movies about like the golden age of Hollywood. Something about that always fascinates me. All right. Also turning 10 is Miss You Already, which is directed by Catherine Hardwicke, who gave us the first Twilight movie. She did that movie 13. She also did a few other stuff here and there, like Lords of Dogtowns and stuff. Miss You Already stars Tony Collette and Drew Barrymore. About friendship, who about these two friendships, who Tony Collette's character, ends up battling cancer, and it's of course a movie about friendship, about girl friendship, I should say, and it's a really touching, charming film. The chemistry between Tony Collette and Drew Barrymore is really good. It is very sad. Towards the end, it's such a really decent one. That's well worth a watch there. All right, also turning 10 is the one that won Best Picture at the Oscars. That is Spotlight. Spotlight was directed by Tom McCarthy, who also that same year also had that Adam Sandler movie, The Cobbler. He also did movies like Win Win, The Station Agent. Really cool filmmaker there. Spotlight is of course you know pretty much is like a All the President's Men journalist type film about a team of continuously operating newspaper investigated journalists unit in the U.S. here, and obviously they are investigating decades long cover up of widespread as child abuse by here. It is the movie is really intense. There are some moments there are some stuff that gets talked about in this that's really intense to even listen to. But the movie is really decent. Great. You got Mark Ruffalo, Liev Schreiber. You got John Slattery, Rachel McAdams. Rachel McAdams and Mark Ruffalo both got Oscar nominations for this. I mean, Spotlight is a really wonderful film. I mean, I still think Room Show won Best Picture that year I met, but Spotlight was still a really good one. All right, now films turning 20 this week. We got the tragically underrated Disney animation gem, Chicken Little. Chicken Little actually. I mean, it's not as classic as let's say Lion King or Aladdin or most recent stuff like Frozen, nothing like that. But I also actually got a kick out of Chicken Little. I mean, it's not like one of Disney's best work, nothing like that. But it is pretty charming here. It is of course. If you guys don't know, uh, the title Chicken Little we're like this little chicken thinks the sky is falling, and a year later he attempts to fix his reputation, and you got really good voice talents like Zach Braff, Joan Cusack. You got Don Knotts, Steve Zahn, Amy Sedaris, Gary Marshall. I mean, the animation was pretty fun. I mean, it's a shame we never really got to see a sequel, but yeah, it's a really decent anime film, in my opinion. I mean, it's not a great film, but it actually has its moments. All right. Also turning 20 is Jarhead. Jarhead is, of course, a war drama starring Jake Gyllenhaal, directed by the aforementioned Sam Mendes, and it stars Jake Gyllenhaal. It of course stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and chronicles his Anthony Sowolf's military service in the U.S. Marine Corps during the Persian Gulf War, and it's a really decent war movie that's well worth a watch. Jake Gyllenhaal, Chris Cooper, Lucas Black, Jamie Foxx, a really decent, intense film. Great performances. I mean, it's a really decent one. A decent war movie there. All right, also turning 20 are two National Lampoon movies here. One of which is the Paris Hilton classic, Pledge This, about a group of girls at South Beach University who had to search for a new place to live after their a toilet in their dorm explodes here. And JAMA President Victorian English agrees to pledge the girls here. Obviously, they were trying to capitalize on Paris Hilton's fame and stuff like that. It's awful. It's not really that great. It's not all that funny. I mean, they always use like the National Lampoon logo, and yeah, it's just not that good. I mean, best National Lampoon movies will always be Vacation, Animal House, but yeah. Also turning 20 is National Lampoon's Adam and Eve, which stars Emmanuel Shariki. Um, uh, well, of course, this aspiring songwriter meets Eve, um, a beautiful, bright student and talented sports still photographer, and they begin dating. And Adam surprises to learn that that Eve is also a virgin here and stuff like that. So obviously, yes, pretty much like a lose your virginity type thing. It's also not good. I mean, I like Emmanuel Shariki. Of course, I just checked out this new film she just did called Joy of the World on Hulu. Not so good. But I've always liked Emmanuel. Like I've always I've always had a crush on her ever since I saw her in Wrong Turn. Who remembers her in Wrong Turn? Come on. But yeah, this actually wasn't so great. So not all that funny. Pretty boring at times. Not anything to go by. Also turning 20 is the Walmart documentary called Walmart: The High Cost of Low Life, which is a really interesting documentary that presents a negative picture of Walmart's business practices through like interviews with former employees and all. It is a really interesting documentary because I mean Walmart obviously been a brand for like years. One of the most popular store brands ever. It's always cool seeing a story about it, and yeah, I mean the documentary is a really interesting doc worth giving a go. All right, films turning dirty this week. We got some interesting ones here. We got the thriller Fair Game. Starring Cindy Crawford. Obviously, at the time, she was a very popular supermodel, so they were trying to give her film acting gig. Didn't work out. Here you got Cindy Crawford, who plays a law firm attorney, Kay McQueen, and William Baldwin as a police officer, named Max Kirkpatrick, and he ends up on the run to protect McQueen when like she is targeted for murder by an ex members of the KGB here, and this movie is not so good. I mean, the writing's terrible. It is actually based on a book from the same author who also did Cobra, which also got turned into a better feature. But yeah, Fair Game is just not so good. Obviously, there was like it was pretty much like a murder type film. The performances by Cindy Crawford, who I think got a Razzie nomination for this. I could be wrong there, but yeah, it's not that good of one. All right, also turning dirty is Home for the Holidays. The classic holiday movie, directed by Jodie Foster, starring Robert Downey Jr. And of course it stars Jodie Foster, where of course Claudia Lawson, who after losing her job, kisses her ex boss and finding out that her daughter has plans of her own holidays here. And it's a really decent, holiday film that's well worth a watch. A movie about a dysfunctional family, obviously, during the holidays. This was pretty much the Family Stone before the Family Stone came out. You also have a good cast. You have Holly Hunter. Uh, and I messed up. Jodie Foster only directed it. She didn't star, so my bad there. Holly Hunter, Robert Downey Jr. It's been a while since I've seen this one. You also had David Strathairn, Steve Guttenberg. It's a really decent, film. Good performances here. Really good holiday film there. All right, also turning 30 is Total Eclipse, which stars a very young Leo DiCaprio, David Delawes, and it pretty much presents as a historically accurate account of relationship between 19th century French poets Arthur Rimbaud, played by DiCaprio, and David Delawes. Now, of course, this was actually around when like DiCaprio, you know, when he was obviously trying to break out. This was actually like 2 years before Titanic fame, and even actually a year before Romeo and Juliet fame. But yeah, Total Eclipse is a really decent one. Like, it's not one of DiCaprio's best work, nothing like that. It's not a classic as let's say Titanic or anything, but it's a really decent one and really showcase how great DiCaprio how great he is and how great he became as an actor and stuff, and a really decent film there. All right, now not really a lot of like great films turning 40 this week. Like we do got Bring on the Night, which is a documentary from director Michael Apted. It is of course a documentary that focuses on jazz-inspired project and band led by the British musician Sting during the early stages of his solo music career here. And it's a really decent documentary. I mean, the film won like a Grammy Award for Best Music Video, and it's an okay doc there. Also turning 40 is a Gene Hackman, Matt Dillon film called Target. When American Donna Lloyd is kidnapped during a trip to Europe, her son Chris and her husband Walter start searching for her. I mean, Gene Hackman obviously is a living legend. Not every movie he was in obviously turns to gold, and this is probably one of his like worst films. Really, it's really forgettable. It's not all that great. I mean, Matt Dillon obviously at the time was becoming a breakout actor and stuff, and yeah, this just wasn't so great. All right. Also turning 40 is that was then this is now, which is also a not good movie starring Emil Estevez and Morgan Freeman. It's where like the troubled teen Mark Jennings has always looked up to his older friend Brian Douglas, who like Mark sees as an older brother he never had here, and feels left out. And when like the Brian character stabilizes influence, he begins acting out and stuff, and it's just not really a forgettable. Like it's really a forgettable film to be honest. Not really anything to go by there. All right, also turning. I mean, MLS Verse has had some great stuff in the '80s. Breakfast Club, obviously. When you talk about the '90s with Mighty Ducks, this is probably one of his most forgettable films, really. Now, turning 40 is probably the better one on the 4 year one, and that is of course Transylvania 5000. It is of course a horror comedy about two tabloid reporters who travel to modern day Transylvania to uncover the truth behind Frankenstein's sightings. Along the way, they encounter other horror film staples, a mummy, werewolf, and each of with a twist in it. This movie is a lot of fun. You do got like Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, you got Michael Richards, Jeffrey Jones, Carol Kane. This is a really fun horror comedy. Obviously, more of a parody of the Universal monsters that became popular in the 50s, 40s, and stuff. Jeff Goldblum, like this was actually one of Jeff Goldblum's like earliest films. This was obviously pre The Fly and all, and it's a really cool one. I mean, if you guys never seen Transylvania 5000, do yourself a favor, give it a go. It's well worth watching. But that's pretty much it. Let me let you guys. Which of these films did not cheat the most? To me, the 10-year one is actually a little harder. I probably Spectre was great. But I would probably say Trumbo is the better film out of the 10-year one. That movie is excellent. If you guys ever seen that. To me, the 20-year one is going to go. I actually quite enjoy Chicken Little. So you know, had some memories with that one. The 30-year one, I'm going to go with Home for the Holidays. And the 4-year one, Transylvania 5000. Anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Timmy Sire.